the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. May God add blessing to the reading, hearing, and living of this holy word this day.
Thanks be to God.
Please be seated.
So as I said earlier, we're continuing our journey with the Beatitudes. And this week marks about the halfway point. And the first four Beatitudes that we looked at talked a lot about, specifically about the human condition, and especially the condition of the human heart and mind. And so we were reminded that we are blessed when we're poor in spirit or humble, that we're blessed when we mourn, that we are blessed when we are meek, because we understand that in that meekness we have strength, and that we are blessed when we hunger and thirst for righteousness, because that yearning that we have to constantly seek God's presence is one that we should be thankful for. And so now we move on, and the next few Beatitudes move us from conditions to actions. So today we have, Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. So what is mercy? Well, if you look at Webster's dictionary, it defines mercy as this. It's compassion or forbearance shown to an offender or subject, a blessing that is an act of divine favor or compassion, relief of distress. I don't know about you, but I think mercy sounds pretty good. One theologian described mercy this way. He says, grace takes away the fault, mercy takes away the misery. Mercy is not an attitude, it's an action. And I believe we have a really good example of mercy was in our news this week, actually, when we saw a young man in a courthouse during a sentencing hearing ask if he could give the person who had just been convicted of killing his brother to give her a hug. That's mercy. And just on another note, when the jury was polled and asked why they only gave a 10-year sentence, they said that they thought about it very hard, and they took into consideration the descriptions of the young man that had been killed and how he lived his life in a loving and caring way. And they said that they thought that he would think that this was the right thing to do. Mercy is a decisive action that we take in our lives. Jesus told a wonderful story about mercy, and we have it in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verses 21 through 35. Now, I'm not going to read the scripture to you this morning. I'm just going to tell you the story, because it's fun that way, right? So the story goes this way. There was a great king who was settling the accounts of his servants, and these were people that he had entrusted a great deal of money to in many cases. And he comes to one man's account and realizes that he hasn't done well with what the king has given him to work with. And in fact, this man owes the king a very large amount of money, a debt that can't possibly be paid. And so the king decides, in order to recoup some of his money, he's going to sell the man and his family into slavery. And you can imagine that this man is not happy with this decision, and he goes and he pleads with the king to please not do this, to give him another chance to make it right. And so the king, in his goodness, offers mercy to this man and forgives him of the debt. Now, you would expect that the man who has just been forgiven of this large debt, in fact, he's been forgiven so much that he's not going to have to go to prison with his family, that he would, emulate this kind of forgiveness in his life. But in fact, as the story goes on, he did just the opposite. Because it seems as if he's going home from having this great forgiveness happen in his life. He comes upon a fellow servant who happens to owe him some money, a very small amount of money compared to the debt that was just released for him. And in fact, some would say that we could compare it to being about $10. And it was $1 million. I think, did I say that the other guy owed? No. Well, it was like $1 million, okay? So the other guy gets forgiven of $1 million, comes upon a friend who owes him 10, and says, I want my money. So the man pleads for mercy and says, please, give me some more time. I don't have it right now, and I just, need some time. But this man who's just been forgiven by the king grabs the guy by the throat and tells him, there's no way that I'm forgiving you or giving you more time. You either pay up or you're going to go to prison. Now, as you know, news travels fast, and so the king heard right away about this incident that his servant had with this other servant. And he calls the man in and he says, I forgave you your debt because you pleaded with me. Should you not have given the same mercy to your fellow slave? And I don't know what the guy answered, but it wasn't acceptable to the king, so the king sent the evil servant to prison. Now, biblical scholars tell us that this story has probably been greatly exaggerated with the comparison of the money that the one slave owned and the money that the other slave owned. But the point of the story is, and they're trying to make this point, is that all of us have been shown great mercy, so grandly by God, that anything that another person owes us as far as forgiveness or their actions have brought us an unhappiness in some way, no matter how big it is, it can never compare to the mercy that has been shown to us by God. Does that make sense? That the things that happen to us in our lives are basically inconsequential compared to the love and grace and forgiveness that God shows us. And so we should be equally as loving and caring and forgiving and merciful to others. So we have received mercy in abundance, and now it is our task to share that mercy, be merciful with others. But if you've tried to be merciful, you know it's hard work. It's not an easy thing to do because being merciful to someone calls us to have an emotional investment in the forgiving or the mercy. And so for a moment, we have to think about someone else other than ourselves, and that's hard for us to do. The Greek word elias gives us our word mercy. And part of the subtlety of this Greek word suggests that mercy in this way is like a pouring out, like you might pour out oil from a flask. And so mercy then is a pouring out, if we want to imagine what mercy would look like. And so when I am merciful, I am pouring out on someone this gift of mercy, a gift that's precious to me, that I'm going to pour out on someone else. Now the problem is that we often think that we don't have any mercy in us, that we can't possibly be merciful because of this egregious thing that is happening to us. But when we're merciful, we pour out mercy anyway. Because we are thinking for a moment about the other one. The one who is in need of this healing balm of mercy. And as I read in our prayer meditation, mercy gets all tangled up in the idea of who deserves it. And we try to decide, we calculate whether or not that person deserves mercy or not. Whether giving them mercy will be productive, or whether it will be meaningful enough to them for us to have taken the time to do that. And so we get all tangled up in all of that talk, and we forget that the mercy of God has been given to us, no conditions, no strings attached. And so we basically have to come to the understanding that we need to be merciful, not because someone deserves it, because certainly mercy comes to us and we don't deserve it. But that the promise is there and given to us that those that are merciful will receive mercy. And so we don't do it because we want to have mercy. We do it because we know that it's there for us too. And mercy is liberating because it frees us up to be open and caring to others in need. We can be merciful because we know that mercy has been given to us. Another word for mercy is compassion, or even forgiveness you could maybe use as a word that might convey mercy, what it means to be merciful. And mercy doesn't mean that the act is necessarily wiped away or washed away, or the memory of that hurt is washed away. And it's not saying that there doesn't need to be consequences for someone if they've done something to harm someone else. That's not what mercy is. Mercy is simply acknowledging that there is a need in that place for something grander than the thing that has defined it. When we are merciful, when we reach out to someone in need of mercy, we are showing respect, because it gives dignity back to those whose self-respect and even self-worth has likely been shredded and discarded. Again, it's not an easy thing to do. And certainly the examples that I've shared with you today tell us just how hard it is to be merciful. But those who understand that mercy has been given to us, and those that are followers of Jesus Christ and understand that mercy is a part of our lives, and that we have not done anything to deserve that or merit that mercy, we then need to be able to live out and be merciful to others. So mercy isn't about giving answers to why things happen, and mercy isn't about justifying what happened, because perhaps there is no justification for that. And mercy doesn't rely on, trite explanations of, well, everything will be all right kind of thing. That's not what mercy is. But mercy extends a basic human kindness to someone whose spirit is just as wounded as yours might be, or that as yours is. Mercy is one of those divine qualities that we humans are allowed, even commanded, to use. When we are merciful, we are acting as if we understand that God has placed that in us to do. It's not easy to be merciful, but we who call ourselves Christians are identifying with a person who was merciful in all cases. In all of the stories that we read in the New Testament about Jesus, it was about making others feel more dignified, offering them mercy. I also thought when I was putting this together about the Lord's Prayer, and we'll say that as a part of our communion liturgy today, that in the praying of the Lord's Prayer we say, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And basically, what we're saying is, God, grant us mercy. And we will grant mercy to others, because we know that God's mercy is already there working in our lives. So you see, we're wealthy when we think of the mercy that we have received from God's hands. And God simply calls us to share that wealth of mercy with others whose lives are lacking in that great gift of mercy. I can tell you that living a merciful life is a privileged way to live, that being merciful is a blessed way to live, and that being merciful is a happier way to live.